The greatest NRL season opener of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how your boy describes Las Vegas opening 2 games of the 2024 NRL season. They weren't just cracking games, but what a spectacle the NRL put on. Yes, some AFL fans are laughing at the crowd, but 40,000, ladies and gentlemen. A great crowd for the NRL's first attempt into the United States. They got where the Super Bowl was played, and they got to put on one hell of a show, not just for this games, but the entire week. It was absolutely brilliant. I had some of the biggest case of FOMO all time, but from the live shows at the resort to the absolute incredible launch event on the Strip, it looked like an incredible atmosphere, and I can't wait to be a part of it in 2025 if the Manly Sea Eagles do get to play at Vegas once again. And should they not, that's an entirely different video, but they got up, so too did the Sydney Roosters. 2 upsets, but let's be fair dinkum, 2 results that many saw coming. Manly beating South Sydney, of course, and the Roosters, they beat the Brisbane Broncos. We can all agree now that they were both such good games to open the season. I mean, Manly South, you had Latrell Mitchell, you had Tom Trbojevic, you had Cody Walker, DCE. You got to see the debut of Luke Brooks, and both teams with a lot of expectation going into 2024, coming off disappointing seasons. And then you had arguably the best team on paper going up against the runners-up. 4 of the most famous clubs in Australian sport, and both games were absolutely brilliant. So maybe in a rugby league sense, they weren't the best, but including the atmosphere, including the occasion, including just the circumstances around those Vegas games, in my opinion, this is the greatest opening to an NRL season of all time. Andrew Abdo, Peter V'landys, you've proven everyone wrong yet again. The NRL is slowly catching up to the AFL. They beat them in the TV. They're breaking revenue records. So there is no doubt in this ranger's mind that these two are leading the game in a great direction. But we'll start talking about the games, because as good as Vegas were, these rugby league games in a vacuum were just as good. The Manly Sea Eagles, they defeated the South Sydney Rabbitohs 36 points to 24. Some incredible performances by some great players, but how good was it to see Luke Brooks not just play a key role in Manly's win, but arguably was the man of the match. He was absolutely phenomenal for Manly. He wasn't in the game early, sort of stuck to that left-hand side, but when he got involved, he was just a star. Obviously, South Sydney opened the scoring. Richie Kenner had a good first half. Obviously, he had some mistakes in that second half. It was a case of, we make an error, you score. I make an error, you score. Everyone was making errors, and both these teams had so much attacking power, and I did tell everyone to stay with the overs because of how good these 2 attacks are. And despite the narrower field, both edges I thought were the shining stars here. Obviously, the battle on the forwards, I thought South Sydney won early. Manly's first set was absolutely incredible, but off the back of a few 6 agains and some great ruck speed from the likes of Cameron Murray, I thought the South Sydney Rabbitohs got off to a good start. They couldn't capitalise with their great field possession all the time. It felt like South Sydney were doing everything right, but just failing to execute on that 4th or 5th tackle play. But in saying that, when they did execute it, they were getting results, as we saw when they were leading 20-12 in that second half. But as soon as that script flipped, and as soon as Manly decided to start getting the ball from South Sydney, then Manly's firepower came into play. Like I said, Luke Brooks, absolutely incredible for him to score that last try for Manly to seal their win in Vegas. All the talk, despite around, the game being in Vegas, Luke Brooks was the one we were all wanting to see, and I thought he had an incredible game for Manly. It was his first game playing with DC, playing with Turbo, playing with Jake, so I cannot wait to see how he goes. If this is the result after 1 game, imagine how good he can be after 10, 11, 12. He was a key part of the Sea Eagles. I don't think he ran too much. He ran twice, and well, the first time he came so close to scoring. The second time he obviously did. Latrell Mitchell with an incredible try saver on that first attempt, and I thought he was spectacular. Obviously, his goal kicking wasn't the best, which you could argue played into the scoreline a little bit, costing South Sydney a chance to win the game. But I thought he was great. 117 running meters, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, 2 try assists, and I thought that try was simply incredible. Very Turbo-like. I think in that battle, you probably do give it to Latrell Mitchell. Tommy was still good, but it wasn't sort of the Tommy that we know and love for when he is fit and healthy. But in saying that, still an incredible stat line when you look at it. 218 running meters, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, 1 try assist, which went to his brother Ben, who I thought had a pretty good game. game, didn't set the world on fire, obviously scored a try, did his job in defence besides trying to defend Latrell Mitchell, and let's face it, he bloody can in that situation. I thought Jake was absolutely phenomenal once again. This guy keeps getting older, and we always talk about attack. Jake Trbojevic is always slept on because he had an unbelievable game. And for me, he's the best defensive player in the competition. So is Cameron Murray. But Murray has got that attacking X factor. I thought both number 13s were great in this game. DCE, I thought he had some of his moments. There were a few times where I was questioning his last tackle options, but overall he had a great game. Homolo Olukolatu, probably the best player on the field if we're taking away the Luke Brooks story. Manly probably could get him more involved, and he still walked away the 179 running meters. And look, in that battle between him and Kulumatangi for that New South Wales Blues jersey, I think he certainly made a statement tonight. He had an unbelievable game. As for South Sydney, Latrell Mitchell was great. Like I said, Alex Johnson did a job. Congratulations to Jacob Gagai. Cody Walker was a bit quiet, and I'm not going to rule out Lockie Ilias just yet. I see a lot of South Sydney fans turning on him after one game, and you got to remember, Jack White still has to come back, and they get Campbell Graham back halfway through the season. So trust me, don't cut out South Sydney. Manly were great. South Sydney were great for 50 minutes, but as soon as they decided they didn't love the rugby league ball and started giving it to Manly, this one was pretty much done outside of a Richie Kenner double movement, which, let's face it, that was just the NRL putting in Operation Grandstand finish. In the other game, you had the Chookies getting the Chockies 20-10 over the Brisbane Broncos. And look, I'd probably say out of the two games, this one was definitely more physical, definitely more fiery. I mean, the whole situation that's come out of it is absolutely disgusting. So I'm not going to joke about that, and I don't like to talk about it. I'm a straight white dude talking footy. It's not my place. In saying that, if Spencer Leniu is found guilty, then you have to throw the book at him, because unfortunately, I'm praying that doesn't overshadow what an incredible weekend this was, and what an incredible performance it was from the Sydney Roosters. James Tedesco, I'm not saying he's back to 2019 Teddy, but this game did a lot for him. And we can't let Joey Manu go to French Rugby Union. I know we love and we hate how the Sydney Roosters seem to get the salary cap better than anyone. But honestly, just let the Roosters pay him a bit more, because that flick pass, that is going to be on highlight reels, not just for promoting the NRL in Vegas, but that's going to be on highlight reels for the next bloody 50 years. He had an absolutely phenomenal game. I actually thought Suoli'i had a good game as well. That whole Billy Smith situation, I'm not sure when Dominic Young's coming back, but that back line is going to be one to keep an eye on. Luke Keary and Sam Walker still looked clunky, but I thought Brendan Smith has probably looked the best. He looked in a Roosters jersey. And Victor Radley, how good was it seeing Victor Radley back at his best? It's felt like a while since you've seen that version of Victor Radley. If he can stay on the park, keep that aggression under wraps, but still put in those types of performances, then he is going to get back into conversations about the best lock in rugby league. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. So I thought was Tyrrell May off the bench for the Roosters. Nat Butcher had a good game as well. So many great performances from the Sydney Roosters. The Brizzy Bronx weren't that great, I didn't think. I think Reece Walsh had some incredible moments. I'm sure the NRL will be disappointed he didn't set the world on fire. I thought Dean Mariner put a case that he should be the starting winger over Corey Oates. Selwyn Cobbo had good moments in the centre position, despite, I think, Joey Manu clearly getting the best of him. They were great defensively, the Brisbane Broncos. They hung on in that game for a long time. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot. And I think the Roosters were just absolutely spectacular. 84% to 76% completion rate. That's going to win you a lot of games. And saying that, though, the Brisbane Broncos did run for more meters despite having lots of less field possession. So it shows you how good the Broncos are in defeat. The Sydney Roosters, if they can build on these combinations and keep that depth intact, because holy heck, their roster runs 25 deep of future and former rep players. I mean, that's how bloody good it is. So the Sydney Roosters, they get a very much deserved win. The Brisbane Broncos, it's not all doom and gloom for them. No, it is for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. An incredible spectacle, I think it's fair to say. This will live in memory as one of the defining moments in rugby league. I'm very interested to see on what the TV ratings are, because I know that's what Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdo are going to look into the most. But in terms of a spectacle, in terms of the crowd, in terms of the whole week, it's without a doubt a success, which answers my video, and I can't wait to see the version of this in 5 years. Do we add more games? Does it turn into a magic round? Does it become a yearly long tradition that we're talking about in 50 years? I'm not too sure. My dog's going off. So ladies and gentlemen, as always, Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.